Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk Live co-host and Football Night in America. Pittsburgh hosting the draft in a couple of years? That sounds like it'll be festive.
Well, it's going to get around to every city at some time or another. This all happened by accident. The NFL had a scheduling conflict at Radio City Music Hall 10 years ago. They couldn't get in for the draft, so they said, fine, we'll take it to Chicago. Hey, we kind of like it. They did it there 2 years. Then they went to Philly. We had that. Remember that great scene in Philly? That was the moment. It's like they found something here. And the NFL, they keep doing this. There's no strategy involved. They just kind of float. It's like, hey, that's pretty good. We'll keep doing that. So it'll be huge in Pittsburgh because it's not just Pittsburgh. You got West Virginia, where I'm from, Ohio, Pennsylvania, it's the cradle of football in Western Pennsylvania. People will flock to Pittsburgh by the tens of thousands for that.
Okay, let me go back to, you're saying the NFL, even without strategy, the NFL schedule makers said that they didn't plan Kansas City playing in Buffalo around Taylor Swift being in Toronto that week. Same week that she would be able to go to the game. Because I said prior to this, the schedule release, I said, when does Taylor Swift play Canada? Guys told me. I said, when is she in Toronto? The guys told me. And I said, let's see when Kansas City goes to Buffalo. They said it's just coincidental, Mike. The NFL would never do something like that. They can't come out and say they did do it because then you're sort of manipulating this a little bit more than for just football or weather reasons.
There are no coincidences. And look, I am not a conspiracy theorist by any stretch. That term has a very negative connotation nowadays. But when it comes to the schedule, and I've been all over this as it relates to the Jets schedule, because the Jets haven't been to the playoffs since 2010. What the hell have they done to deserve 6 primetime games the first 11 weeks, 2 Thursday night games on short weeks in the first 9 weeks, 7 standalone games through week 11? What have they done? They have Aaron Rodgers. And this notion that, as Mike North, the VP of broadcast planning, said last week, the Jets kind of owe us one because Rodgers got hurt last week. But what did the Jets get out of that? They had a crap year. They worry about competitive balance with the draft. It's a factor in setting the opponents. But when it's time to set the schedules, the NFL is all about maximum ratings. And even if you were a bad team last year, if you've been a bad team for 15 years, it doesn't matter. If we think we can get maximum ratings, we're going to put you in these spots, even if it hurts you to be in these spots. And so, yeah, if there's a bump that comes from the Chiefs and Bills being just down the road from a Toronto show, and they know there's going to be a bump from it, of course it's going to be a factor.
Why not Kansas City is the most watched team in the standalone games? Haven't they earned that right?
They still have a lot of difficult standalone late afternoon games. I mean, the schedule formula is set by where you finish in your division, and there's rotations involved. But yeah, the Chiefs are a big draw. The Chiefs are an exciting team. And the Chiefs keep winning even with that. That's what's amazing. You know, the Texans last year, they played every game except week 18, which got moved to Saturday night. They played every game at 1 o'clock Eastern on Sunday. And teams love that. Coaches love that. It's a rhythm. It's certainty. There's no disruption to the schedule. You are on that same train every week. Once you win, though, they start jerking around your Thursday and Sunday and Christmas and this, and the Chiefs still find ways to win even with all that. That's what's one of the most amazing things about what they do.
That's a great point. We're talking to Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk Live, the show that precedes ours on Peacock. You brought this up. I don't know if it was in relation to Las Vegas and the Las Vegas Aces of the WNBA, where the tourism board is basically paying these players to promote Las Vegas. They get $100,000 apiece. And then I'm thinking, is NIL coming to professional sports? Maybe not exactly what we have with college football or basketball, but can you see how you can maybe circumvent the salary cap by getting somebody to help pay a player to stay, or you can get him to go to a certain city?
And this was the most obvious example we've seen. You've got half the players on the team that aren't even making $100,000 in salary. They're getting more money from the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority than they're going to get from Mark Davis, the owner of the team. Now, after I wrote that, I heard from some people who've been connected to the NFL for a long time saying, well, there's always been kind of, the sponsor of the team, and there's a little money here and a little money there. But the whole NIL dynamic You could put together a group of Buffalo Bills boosters that pulls their money. I mean, they already do it with PSLs. That's phony money that gets funneled to the team. You could come up with some sort of NIL collective to throw money at Josh Allen to make sure he's happy with his contract and doesn't want to leave. It just unlocks a whole new universe of ways that people who are motivated to give their money to help their favorite team can do so. And that's what college sports has been forever. The only difference is the college players don't get paid except by the boosters. And at the NFL level, they're already getting paid.
So you see this as something that now, will the NFL have to come up with some kind of law that prevents this? I don't know how you do it.
I think the precedent is going to be what the WNBA does about the Las Vegas Aces, because from the Aces perspective, hey, we didn't know they were going to do this. We didn't ask them to do this. I mean, if you can create a plausible situation where somebody completely disconnected from the team, at least on paper, is funneling the money, what can you do? What if Phil Knight decides that he's now a Texans fan and he's going to throw a crap load of money at CJ Stroud and all the other key players on the Texans? He's going to give them sponsorships that they really like. They don't have the name recognition beyond Stroud. Some of these lower level guys, they really don't deserve a deal, but I'm going to give them that money. I mean, they can do that. They can do that. And I don't know, is it inevitable? I don't know, but it's available. And I think the NIL reality may get some people to say, well, maybe this is something we could try.
Help me understand the Justin Jefferson situation with the Vikings.
This is very simple, Dan. And I was just on with Paul Allen at KFAN, the voice of the Vikings, last hour. We hear mixed messages, and we get mixed messages from the Vikings as to what's really going on here. They say it's all going to be fine, we're going to work it out. But then when you start trying to figure out what's going on, you get the impression that maybe they think he wants too much. Well, then don't say it's going to be fine if he wants too much. And you may think he wants too much, but is he being unreasonable? They had negotiations last year, and supposedly they offered him $30 million per year, and he didn't want it. Well, we don't know what he wanted, and the structure is key too. How much is fully guaranteed at signing? But whether it's the Vikings, whether it's the Cowboys, you never get a better deal if you're the team by waiting. When the guy has proven that he's a keeper, and Justin Jefferson's a keeper, a superstar, the GM, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, said in February, he deserves to be paid like a top non-quarterback. Well, that's $34 million per year, Nick Bosa, as of now. Cap goes up 15.6% this year. It's always going to go up. It's always going to go up. And at some point, you just have to stop the bleeding, or you have to trade him. Well, Paul suggested, well, you know, they keep him this year, they franchise tag him next year. You can't play games like that with elite superstar players. You just have to bite the bullet and pay him, or trade him to someone who will. I was saying that before the draft, when I thought they were going to try to move up, like, hey, maybe say Commanders, we'll give you Justin Jefferson and the 11th overall pick for the second pick, and we'll take Jaden Daniels. Do that then. Now, I don't know what they do, but talking and doing, two different things, and it frustrates your fan base because you keep thinking it's going to happen, but we're still waiting, and I don't think it's going to be an easy fix for the Vikings.
What's Matthew Stafford's leverage with the Rams?
It's not showing up for training camp because he has shown up for OTAs. You know what the leverage is? The leverage is the backup quarterback is Jimmy Garoppolo. That's the leverage. And he's suspended for the first 2 games of the season. So the backup to the backup is Stetson Bennett, who was on the non-football illness list all last year, and a guy named Dresser Wynn, who went to UT Martin. And today's the day I found out that UT Martin even exists. All apologies to UT Martin, because I looked up who the hell Dresser Wynn is. So that's the leverage Stafford has. And he wants more guarantee beyond this year because he knew what the Rams were up to. They were doing this 1 year at a time. And now he's like, no, I don't want to do 1 year at a time. I want a firm commitment of at least 2 years. He brought that to a head. You throw in the Jared Goff contract, he may also want more dollars on top of more guarantees.
Help me understand the chain gangs going digital. Like what is the optics of this during a game?
Well, literally, it's the optical device they're going to use. It's smart. And you've had people connected to the league complaining for years now. Sean Payton's one of the ones who always says this. Look at all the advances we've made over the past 100 years since the NFL came along. And they still use 2 guys, 2 sticks, and 10 yards of chain link to determine whether or not a first down has been gained. There are so many different ways they can incorporate technology into football. I have said for years now, they need to take the current officiating function, they need to tear it down completely, and they need to rebuild it with all technologies we currently have available. Chips in balls, chips in players, chips all over the field. They're not expensive. The NFL can afford them even if they are. There are ways to make it better, and legalized wagering raises the stakes. They need to fix this stuff and button it up before the scandal that's going to have the NFL in an ugly spot with Congress and maybe an agency that would have oversight of the NFL. They gotta spend the money and get this stuff taken care of. And this is a great step in the right direction to getting everything right.
You know, the problem I have, it's the official when he marks the ball. That to me is so random, right? Everything else is buttoned up, or we hope is buttoned up. It's like this guy goes, I think you went down right there.
I remember a game from 1996, Vikings-Broncos. It was a close game back and forth, and there was a key fourth down, and the official who was holding the spot with his right foot on one leg was kind of like trying to hold his balance, and he hopped a little bit, and that hop ended up being the difference between first down Denver and first down Minnesota.
And you being a Viking fan.
Yeah, that was a long day. I should find something else to do because I remember the pain a hell of a lot more than I remember the happiness. And that's one of the good things about being in this business, because it really isn't like it used to be. I was 25 years ago, 30 years ago, growing up, it was bad. I would like go and do a funk for 2 or 3 days after a loss on a Sunday.
Keep your head up, Mike.
It's all good now.
All right.
It's all good now.
Thank you, bud.
Alcohol helps.
Good to talk to you.
Thanks. See you, Dan.
It's Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk Live. He's brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, our interview of the day. Brought to you by the superbly versatile all-electric EQB from Mercedes-Benz, the vehicle all-electric, the feeling all Mercedes. Learn more, MBUSA.com/EQB.